So in today's overtime, try not to be too distracted by my ideal male physique.
Look at that. Can you show us?
Chiseled jaw,
Flex, flex.
pecs.
You gotta flex.
I don't want to rip this sweater live on Facebook. Now, I can laugh about these things, but today we're talking about a very serious issue that I think is real. We've been discussing it on the radio. If you were just listening, you missed out the setup to this, but found this really interesting article in the New York Times called "The Beauty Myth for Boys." The Beauty Myth for Boys by a doctor. Her name is Kara Natterson, MD. I wish I had a suffix on my name.
You do. You got comma master.
No, it's Brian Dolan, not MD, but STUD.
What is? Oh my gosh.
Huh? No?
No. Sorry, that
okay.
doesn't work.
So here's what she writes. Naomi Wolf's 1991 book, The Beauty Myth, claims that efforts to be thin and pretty undermine women. But one of the biggest myths
Oh, man.
about the beauty myth is that it's only female. Boys suffer from unrealistic beauty standards too. In the tween years, as puberty begins and testosterone starts to surge, boys generally don't notice much of anything happening to their bodies, at least nothing outwardly visible. Fair enough, because it will take years for this hormone to transform them into men. What they do notice is the endless parade of perfect male imagery in front of them, across screens and billboards, and on magazine pages. Like broad shoulders, beneath chiseled jawlines, and six-pack abs. Don't worry, I won't show you. I don't want to make you uncomfortable. Which, by the way, have none of those three things.
Oh, man.
She goes on to write that I've come to believe that while girl puberty has evolved into a celebration of body changes and periods and tackling notions of physical perfection, boy puberty has been left in the dust. I'm happy for girls who get to go through their puberty openly and authentically, or at the very least with words of that articulate their experiences, and they're taught how to do that. That wasn't what it was like when I was growing up. But the male experience hasn't kept pace, partly because our culture has defined male puberty adjacent issues, especially body image issues, as female. It doesn't help that guys naturally turn towards monosyllables. And she talks later about how as girls go through puberty, they get more verbose. And as boys hit puberty, they speak less.
Yeah.
And so the combination of ignoring male body image problems and boys becoming less expressive means they are truly ignored in this case.
Yeah.
I think society's done a great job with young women now. I feel really good about how we treat young women. Don't you?
I do. There's the new.
Oh, here we go.
No, there's the new element of Instagram, and figuring out the amount of images girls see and comparing themselves to unrealistic pictures. But the conversation, yes, is very positive around that topic in our society.
Now, we're not like any sort of perfect place, but we've come a long way, Janelle.
So are you saying with boys, is it that it's not happening, or what is happening is not good?
No, what I'm saying is it's happening and no one talks about it, no one acknowledges it. In fact, we have no problem cracking jokes to young boys about their body and how it doesn't fit some sort of standard.
Yeah.
And again, I was cracking jokes about myself a few minutes ago, which probably doesn't help. But on top of that, I think even in Christian culture, we teach young men to not have feelings and talk about how they feel. And we have a culture that does the same thing, that a man just mans up. He doesn't cry, doesn't talk about his feelings.
Yeah.
Sucks it up. And that's not going to help this situation.
Sarah's on here. You want to show her your muscles?
My wife, Sarah?
Yeah.
Well, she has seen my muscles, trust me.
Okay. Hi, Callie and Mike.
So do you think this is real?
Adrian, what's up, Adrian?
I mean, I want to hear what you think on this, too. Do you think that there is also a troubling beauty standard for men that young boys really struggle with but no one talks about? Or maybe you're thinking this is all just a bunch of hogwash?
There's an anonymous text that came in. And this person says, I have sons who do speak about their father, comparing them. They are millennials, 28 and 33, who have been empowered to speak of topics men typically consider unmanly or does not fit his masculine role. Dad is not in make dominant career a chemical engineer.
Yeah. Well, and that's one of those problems is like, even for me, one of my struggles was that in my home, and this is not a bad thing, I think it was plenty of good thing, there was not a lot of stereotypes going on. My dad was not chugging beers watching the game. He'd occasionally watch football, but it wasn't a priority. So sports didn't become a priority for me. I played it, but I didn't watch it ever. What do men talk about? Sports. And so, I think I was at somewhat of a disadvantage in this. So I was in a home as well of a dad who's a businessman, not some kind of like rough and tumble construction worker or bodybuilder or something.
Yeah.
Not that that's a normal career or something, but that's what I'm trying to say is like I was in an unconventional manly upbringing, and I think a lot of boys are in that.
Yeah, and you're saying that didn't equip you in terms of mainstream society to connect with other men?
Probably, yeah. Now, do you think that the beauty myth for boys is of equal intensity and problem as girls? I know what you want to say.
I don't think it's of equal intensity at all.
So girls have it worse.
I think girls have it worse.
We always say that, don't we? Girls have everything worse.
No, come on, Brian. Even if you look at the media and all that, it's all about princess, it's all about the top model. It's a lot of the girl stuff and being skinny and being...
The Bachelor doesn't talk about that? We're not parading men around.
It's not as prevalent. The woman's figure versus I don't think it is.
See, what's interesting too then is, okay, so what's one thing that it's harder for men? Or is just women have it worse for everything and men are just have life easy?
It doesn't have to be a competition. No, listen, I have 4 sons and only 2 daughters, and I see this, and it's real, and it's not talked about enough. I think the images and the expectations is harder. I mean, come on, are you serious? That's going to be the angle of the conversation? It cannot be. I refuse.
Well, no, I'm just trying to figure out...
It's not about comparing. I do think society and media centers around, I think, more the women.
But do you think about that?
Look at Disney, all of Disney movies.
Well, but
it's the princess.
Well, look at the prince,
You barely talk about the prince. Come on.
Well, no, but hold on, though.
Nobody focuses on the prince. Barbies are all, it's really about the Barbie, the girl.
Well, and every movie has an awkward, chubby boy who's a laughingstock. That's always the case. So is it that there's more ideal images of women in media, or we just focus on them and ignore the boys?
Maybe.
I could make an equal argument, even though Cinderella's about Cinderella.
Yeah.
Prince Charming is certainly not a fat boy.
Yeah, that's true.
He's in shape. He looks great.
That's true.
He gets the girl.
That's true.
So is it an issue of focus or intensity? You see what I mean? I'm not certain. I think probably women have it worse in terms of how much it's talked about and how much they give each other a hard time about it. But at the same time, I think we underestimate how much body image is non-verbally pressed into the lives of young boys.
Yeah. And you know why I think it's different for men and women? If you agree, please raise your hand. Guys are more visual. So the conversation and the expectations, and women know it, and when men react, it's like, oh, did you see her ex whatever? Women, I don't hear women in our circles, even when I was single, talking about, oh, did you see him in the shirt? As much as we're more emotional. So it's about, oh, did he bring flowers, or did he, whatever. So that's why I think it's manifested differently, because we're less visual than men. So we have more of a pressure to look more appealing physically. Mm-hmm. Teresa is saying, I really wish I could redo raising my kids. I'm sure I messed up with all these things with my son and daughter. Not making excuses, but I think I was a product of my generation. We didn't go around saying the culture's flawed, we need to work against it. Sarah said, oh my goodness, I think she wants to see the muscles. Go ahead. Yeah. Callie says, my brother had a friend who struggled with body issues. He was a wrestler and he needed to be a certain amount of weight. Once the wrestling season was over he had a trouble gaining weight, because his mindset was like, I gotta weigh this amount of weight. To this day, he's still pretty skinny and struggles with body issues. You see it with weight. I see it with my boys, seriously. And this is funny, but it's when we go to the pediatrician, they don't care a word that she says. all that they're there waiting for is their percentile. And then it's like, and then they're like, how much is so-and-so's? Mine's is this. And did you see my percentile? That is all they care about. She'll be talking to them about eat healthy, whatever, and they'll like, well, so what's my percentile? What's my percentile?
Honestly, yeah.
So you see, it's not, like, it's funny, it's not pressure, but it's competition.
And
but
see,
it does turn into, okay, who's going to end up being the shortest?
And I was just listening to the podcast This American Life. They had one a couple weeks ago that highlighted how some parents, it's a trend, that if your son is on the lower percentile, they're actually going through controversial and extremely expensive growth hormone therapy, giving their sons injections so they won't be short.
What?
Why?
I bet you, does it, it impacts job, leadership positions? No?
Yeah, yes.
Oh, okay.
Marriageability.
That's what I've heard. Marriage, wow.
Because here's where I think there's some truth, right? Okay, you're talking about how men are more visual. Absolutely true. Especially when it comes to attraction issues, right? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we've created the opposite myth, which would be that women aren't visual. If that were the case, wouldn't they be going out with the nerds in high school because they're so intellectually stimulating? But no. When you look at high school,
we ain't looking for no intellectual nothing. We're looking for what you were talking about earlier today and disagreeing. Do you know how to bring game? Like, do you know how to court me? And that's what it is. That's what I'm saying. It's less of how do you look and more like, I'm going to use a word. I'm moody, but we're on live. It's like, what's that word? Game, or like some in the better context, like, are you a player? Can you really like play the game and
so
bring
then explain
it?
this to me.
That's what I'm saying. So a nerd is like, oh, did you read such and such a book? That's not what women are
So
looking for.
explain this to me then. Why is it in high school?
Thank you, Miss Anita. Yeah. High
What?
five. She said yes, Janelle. Whatever I said, she said yes.
But but why is it then that even for adolescents, it's always the ideal figured boys that get all the attention from the girls?
It's true. The jocks. It's true.
So then,
That is true. That's
so
a good
then,
point.
is it true that women aren't visual? If it were, that wouldn't be the case. It would be all the
That's
really
true.
nice guys
That
would
is
have the popular girls clamoring all over them, wouldn't they?
I don't
all
think
the
it's
nice
the
boys that have
nice
game.
guys. I don't think it's the nice guys, which is actually not good. It's the guys that know how to play the game, how to do the whole,
But why then do
bring
girls go after the
flowers
bad
and-
boy that's getting in trouble and is really cute? Again, I think that we underestimate the value of the visual for women even, and the
that's
pressure put on boys.
That is true.
Because what's a young boy to think when the jocks are the only ones getting attention from girls, the ones who are chiseled
We are
and
visual. I just meant you. Men
Men
are
are
more.
Men are
But
more.
we do care. You're right. It does present pressure, and I see it in my household.
And I get honestly irritated by the insinuation that women aren't visual. They're less visual.
Yeah. That's true.
And so if women are less visual but still visual, doesn't that therefore also create pressure for boys?
Yes, it does. Sarah says boys do see and compare,
Like my
although
wife said?
perhaps no, Sarah in Ecuador.
I was getting
Hola,
nervous.
amiga.
Sorry.
Boys do see and compare, although perhaps some more than others. I never imagined that boys might struggle with this until my oldest, who's extremely athletic and muscular, went through a time when he thought he was fat because compared to somebody else, I guess. Callie said, hold on Sarah's comment, yes. I think a lot of it too is also the athleticism. Are you as fast or can you jump as high? I don't know if that's just my circle, Brian, or if you see it across the board. Even with that whole thing of the jock, are you part of that group? Are you good at a sport? I've seen it, just because I have a lot of kids, I'm not going to pinpoint who, but I have a son who's like gifted as an artist, musician, or whatever, but he feels the pressure of, I need to be good at a sport. Am I generalizing? Is that like a male's experience?
Yeah, no, I think that's certainly the case. And then boys who tend toward the arts are viewed more feminine. But what's interesting
and
is
are not celebrated. You hear more you made the team. And so you got the artist boy or the musician sitting there like, this doesn't get any attention.
And which male actors get the most attention? The ones who are the best actors or the ones who are the cutest?
I don't know, like Denzel.
Do you follow what I'm saying?
Can we talk about Denzel?
You want to, don't you?
I got issues today. I'm acting like it's Friday. It's true. It is
and
true.
and you're gonna have to help me with comments. My phone is malfunctioning. I
Lisa
can't see
says,
it.
I'm reading Anne of Green Gables, and even in that, you hear the girls' thoughts on how physically charming the boys are or aren't. How Gilbert is more handsome, and others are either skinny and homely or chubby. I don't think it's the same kind of pressure as women receive, but there are still unhealthy expectations put on men. Women compete with each other to have more handsome, charming men. That is true. That's true.
And see,
There is the pressure.
I'm going to be speaking at a men's breakfast in Millersburg in a couple of weeks, and I've been praying about what to talk about, and I feel like it's going to guide me more towards this idea of manhood. That I think even in the church we get this so wrong, that we're creating some of these image issues in young boys. In that certainly there are idyllic, chiseled men in the Bible, no question about it. I mean, you hear about Saul being tall and handsome, and you hear about Samson. I mean, he had great hair and was really strong and all that. And you hear about Matthew, who loved math and was a tax collector.
Or even Paul, who was like, I'm not great looking. Didn't he say something
Yeah,
like that?
and he was actually, he's kind of ugly and not even a great speaker.
Yeah.
And how about
He said he wasn't a great speaker?
Yeah.
That's comforting. Wow.
And how about David, who wasn't shy about saying he was weeping and had his tears filled, or his pillow covered in tears, and loved music and wrote poetry.
Wow.
Like, so what? David's not a man?
Yeah.
He was a slayer of giants, but I've seen more verses about his emotions than I have about his physical abilities. So I think we've created a culture in which it's wrong to say it's not manly to be a great artist, to care about how you feel, to talk about body image issues. And I think that we're doing a disservice to young boys if we're just pressuring them unintentionally and quietly to try to go lift weights, be tough, don't cry, don't talk about your emotions, get a six-pack abs, and if you don't, sorry, the girls won't like you until they have to settle for you when all the cute boys are with somebody else.
So how do you bring that, your concern, to we're talking about society and the general conversation. So if you're saying it's wrong not to talk about it and wrong to pursue it for this reason in terms of the physical, what do you do with your young son that's either, okay, most of the times they don't even bring it up. So you don't know, do you struggle with this? Or maybe you see it manifested, but they may even deny it. How do you bring about change in your household?
But to be blunt, I think it's not going to be as much of an issue for me because I don't fit the male stereotype in any sense. I'm not chiseled in any way. I'm not overly tough and masculine. I'm goofy. I like thinking and talking. I'm more emotional than my wife. So I'm not certain my boys are going to get pressure from me on this, but they're going to certainly see it in the media, I would suppose. So I don't know. I mean,
and at school.
To be honest, I haven't spent much time thinking or talking about it. I've spent a lot more time thinking about body image for my daughters.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe that's appropriate, maybe not. Because I still think you're ultimately right that by comparison, it is worse for girls with more dramatic consequences. But it's like, what's the point in comparing bad and worse? It's not like it's
you
good
brought
for
it up. You were like, well, who has it worse? And I'm like...
No, but I'm thinking out loud. I'm trying to say that oftentimes when we go is we look for the worst and then we dismiss everybody else.
Yeah.
Well, they have it worse, so stop complaining.
Yeah.
Where I think girls may have it worse. But does that make boys having it bad a good thing? Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, it can't be ignored.
Yeah, not at all.
What are you going to do? What are you and Len doing? Because Len is, like, into physical fitness.
He's into
He used to be chiseled.
fitness. And when all the way through, like, early marriage, he was big about the gym. We've had this conversation a lot with my kids. And in fact, even my 13-year-old, they're all into sports. But especially my 13-year-old is like, I want to lift weights. And he's the more disciplined one, doing push-ups or whatever. And so that's, when I'm thinking about that, is why I asked you the question of what should we do, for example, with him. If he's like, Papi, can you help me learn how to lift weights? Or you see him, you walk by his room and he's doing push-ups and sit-ups every day. Do you tone it down? Do you say, well, that's not what's important?
I'd probably ask him why he's doing that. Honestly. Like my son, one of my sons is really into weightlifting and physical fitness. And I think genuinely it's because he likes it.
Yeah.
he was introduced to weight training in the weight room at his school.
That's cool.
And he really loved it. And so I don't worry about him as much.
That's
I
cool.
hated it. Hated it. You couldn't force me into a weight room. And I know it's shocking. But do you see, like, I think we need to find out why he's doing it.
Yeah.
Before we can, I don't want to go to a kid who loves weightlifting and tell him to dial it back.
Right.
If he really loves it, go for it. That's fine. Right?
Roseanne agrees with Brian. She
Obviously.
says, Brian is quite right that girls and women do care about looks, but I believe it matters to adolescent girls more because of the peer pressure to be liked by the cute, popular boys. As we age, non-conventional good looks become more appealing. Yeah.
But see, boys long to be liked by the popular girls.
But I don't think boys, or I can ask you, do you think they get it from other boys as much as girls get it from other girls?
So you think boys don't notice when one of their buddies
No, they
has
notice.
some cute girl?
Oh, no,
that,
no.
that he gets a girlfriend that's super cute and popular? Are you kidding me? Of course that's the case. I think
No,
it's
but does
to a
that make
lesser-
them say, I need to be more muscular?
It might. A boy might go, if I only looked like my friend Jimmy,
Yeah.
he gets all the girls because he's so ripped.
Yeah. Myron Day. I like your name. And I'm
Okay,
sorry
well,
if I
that's the word.
mispronounced, but I really like your comment. She says, 10-year-old son is very small for his age and is a picky eater. Many people in our family tease him about this and say, if you don't eat, you don't grow up to be big and strong like daddy. I can't stand that, and I've seen it happening, and it's very disturbing.
Yeah, don't say that.
It's so disturbing. No, or even the whole commenting about boys' weights, like he said, people do it because they think it's okay with a boy, and it's so not cool. Somebody just texted and said, in response to your morning program, I can only...
I don't know if that's on the same topic.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. We get lots of text messages.
And somebody else texted about the topic. I identified with your comment a few moments ago, and family friend making hurtful comments. And other people talked about it, and you talked about how as parents, we can do that. Make comments with good intentions and not realize the damage you do.
Yeah, and I get frustrated as a dad because I see it feels like it's almost a no-win. Like I'm going to say something that's going to totally crush one of my kids.
Yeah.
Without meaning it. Like let's say one of my daughters, for example, or sons, is overeating. Am I supposed to not say something, you know? Like they're literally overeating, eating
I
way too
think
many
you
calories.
say something, but the importance of saying why. You know? It's not healthy, and you need to eat. One of the things I say is eat slow down. If you slow down, then it's harder to overeat.
But see, we had someone text, and their dad was basically saying that and trying to have fun with it. He said, "Hey, you can't eat like that in front of the boys, or they're not going to want to go out with you."
Yeah, but you could say that to one kid, and they'll just be like, "Ha ha ha." So I think, yeah,
Isn't
sometimes
that scary as a parent, though?
It is scary.
That something you think is totally benign and would never have hurt you can crush your child for decades.
Miss Anita says, how about teaching boys that a girl who is only impressed, with physical appearance is a way, it's a way God is using to weed out those girls you shouldn't seek after. Amen. I like
But
that.
you know what I would always do? Okay, and my wife will hate that I'm going to say this, but when I was teaching, I'd always do the first day class, I'd do a little PowerPoint thing, because it was big then, PowerPoint, of introducing people to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I was very newly married for many of those years. I would show our wedding picture. And I remember kids would gasp in the picture. They go, she married you? Because my wife looked beautiful in our wedding pictures. I mean, and I would make them laugh by saying, I'm the perfect example of the nerd gets the girl. Like she was a cheerleader, I mean, come on, blonde, all this stuff that people would consider an ideal. And I was like a geek in band. Like we went on a band trip and all this stuff. And then I would say, don't worry, cheer up nerds, because eventually girls realize that nerds make the best husbands. And the nerds would sit up straight and the girls would look at me funny. Because there's still that in high school, adolescence. Girls are not valuing the inner man. They're just not. They're not looking for a boy who's nice and sweet to her.
I was. There are girls out there. I was. You can ask.
So it
My
didn't matter
Sega talk
if
to
you.
you?
It doesn't even matter if he got hit by an ugly stick. If he was a sweet boy, you're gonna go out with him.
Everybody knows, I don't care how old you are, that you gotta be attracted to the person. I mean, you gotta something.
What if he's just kind of chubby?
Yeah, I cared about the internet. I'm just saying, like.
But I
they're
don't want to
out
make this
there.
sound like you're altruistically like blind.
No, I'm bringing it up to say, and I've said this to younger people, and you've said this, they're out there. There are kids in middle school, and I say this to my kids, like, there are kids just like you that are super cool and want somebody to have a great conversation with. They're not all out there like, oh no, you gotta have muscles. So it's what I'm saying is there is hope for great Christian kids, right? No? Oh, okay.
Yeah, they could watch this and. If Brian can get married to someone, there's
Whatever.
hope for everyone.
Jennifer says we talk about small boys getting picked on and told to get bigger. But bigger boys also get talked about if they don't use that size for sports. Yes. My son
That's true.
had been called large and a linebacker since he was 6 months. There is that pressure, especially as they get older, like you're supposed to do a sport. And I'm imagining, oh my goodness, if they have an athletic build, even more of the expectation of that's what you should do. Jennifer says, I don't say girls. No, don't say girls. Some girls weren't. I always like the intellectual. Amen. That's why you're my girl.
I'm sorry.
Jennifer Jones. Did you see what she said? Thank you.
None of the intellectuals in my grade.
Thank you. Psh.
None of the intellectuals in my grade had any attention from girls.
Whatever.
The kids
I
in
was
math club were chick magnets? Are you kidding me?
They're out there. Sarah says, so true. I got Brian to ask me out by making him an egg salad sandwich.
That's my wife.
Oh, that's cool. No, they're out there, Brian. Stop the madness. Oh, look, Mike agrees with Sarah.
I just don't think it's as prevalent as you all want to make it. It's just this whole like, oh, girls, they just love a boy's heart. Oh, that's not my memory of high school at all.
Wow.
Oh.
I don't know what you were doing.
What were you doing?
Jennifer says, probably because we were intellectuals too and afraid. Amen. Thank you. And probably because the nerdy guys were probably like, oh, I want the girl that looks awesome and shooting high. I think you miss each other. So thank you. Girls are awesome. Sarah says, I agree, Janelle. Not all girls are looking to date the popular boys. Some of us looked at the fun or intellectual or nice guys. Thank you, Sarah. I definitely was one of those. Thank you. I didn't get paid much attention to, though. Lisa says, Brian said, it was bad because that wasn't popular. Lisa says, Brian said chick magnets.
Is that
she's
bad?
Laughing. No, she's laughing. Kathy says,
I was afraid I said some like 2020 faux pas there.
No,
Chick
she
magnet,
liked
is that
it.
okay to say that?
Yeah.
But I shouldn't say chick, right? Girls don't like that? Women don't like that?
I don't care about that. But
Kelly and Janelle say I'm okay.
yeah,
so.
you're good. Kathy says, my daughter's boyfriend is 7'1".
Whoa.
What?
And then watch, he doesn't play basketball. Right?
All the time. So annoying. Oh. And you know what's so funny? My tallest son is a piano player. I love to tell people, oh, you play basketball. I'm like, nope, he plays a piano. That is so true. And it's annoying because I heard it about him when he was a baby. And I found it, and I try not to be very sensitive, but offensive. I'm like, dude, that's what you're going to boil my kid down to because he's tall? Oh, he's going to be a basketball player.
Oh, but don't people value the intellectual part of boys? Janelle, why would anyone ever say that to your son?
Oh my goodness. Janet in the house. Let's ignore Brian. Janet says, both of my boys were geeky and there were girls attracted to them. Thank you. My oldest daughter chose a young man with a very visible birthmark on his face, I guess. I married a man and I met when we were 16. He was picked on mercilessly. He was 6'3" and overweight. I thought he was so sweet, but he thought he was a trombone playing geek. Thank you.
Well, he might.
Awesome little girls are out there, and I know my girls better be like that. Thank you. Now, you can't, it's not like, oh, let me look for the weirdest looking kid. It's about who do I connect with personally, who can I have a great conversation with. There's some deep girls out there.
I would love to go back in time to these utopian high schools where all the girls were going out with
Nobody.
the
Why you gotta go
boys.
extreme? Nobody said all. We're saying they are out there.
No, but I honestly would like. You said your high school is like that. This
High
is like.
school? I did not say my high
It's
school.
like High School Musical. There's some sort
Oh
of like
my
Disney
gosh.
show out of this where
Wow,
all
you're
the jocks are
exaggerating.
ignored by the girls because they're looking for the minds of the boys.
Jennifer said, man, this is good, guys. Okay, I got kids. I got stuff to do. Jennifer says, yes, they always say my son should play football. He's 3 and wears a size 5 in boys. He may play sports, and in our house, they have to do some physical activity, but we also want to cultivate his mind. And to be honest, Jennifer, he may not play sports, and you know that. And I agree that we do that with little boys. So annoying. Roseanne says we can cure adolescents of their obsessions with looks by taking them to our next school. Oh, I love you. We got to end with this one. Next school reunion and introducing them to the best looking, most popular kids from the old yearbooks. I love you, Roseanne. That was awesome.
Because it usually ends up coming full circle, right? Is what she's saying.
That was awesome.
Great point, and that's how you end on a high note. Love your family. We will see you mañana, as they say in Dominican Republic. Huh?
Hasta mañana. Dave Safransky. You don't want to miss it.